Isn't it nice to be wanted? Doesn't somebody want to be wanted? There was a song called that. Yeah, it is one of the very important things about being in a love and wanting to love someone is that the other person, the person that you feel that for, also feels the same. Simply, there is nothing worse than, of course, we know one of the worst feelings that exists in humanity is unrequited love. So why is it so that sometimes those that we want, they don't want us? That's the thing. That's weird. I mean, ideally it should be so that, let's say, I am single and that woman is single and I like her and she should like me then, right? But it's not like that always. I'm a nice guy and all that. I look good enough and all that. And this is different when you are punching above your weight, as they say. If you are not that good looking and you want somebody or fall for someone that is very good looking, it means that she is too good looking for you. But there are also such couples sometimes. Yes, I have seen those couples before. So this is I was just thinking about this ancient Greek myth of this nymph that was called Galatea, and it says that she first agreed to marry this Cyclops, who was obviously ugly, because all Cyclopses are, because he wanted her. She wanted to be wanted, simply. That was very important to her. So that doesn't make any sense. Why would a nymph who is beautiful, nymphs were beautiful creatures in Greek mythology and other mythologies as well, but why would she agree to be with someone just because he wants her? This is very interesting. I think it is also about a little bit about narcissism, people who have to be wanted, by everyone they like, but by everyone they even cast their eyes on, let's say. Yeah, it is a very complicated question, I guess. It just feels good to be to get attention, first of all. Yes, it feels good. I myself have experienced that, particularly this year, to have attention, get attention from people and from women as well. So yeah, once you get that attention and then suddenly something happens, for some reason it so happens, unfortunately, that, let's say, you meet a girl or a woman and you like her really, and she seems to like you back, but then something can happen. Maybe you say or do something that she doesn't really approve of, or that's or even she maybe meets someone else that she likes even better. So of course that's really hard to swallow, but you gotta move on, of course. You don't want to dwell on someone that suddenly found someone she likes better. and now you are her number two, her backup in case things don't work out with that guy she likes best, and yes, that's about it. I mean, sometimes women can be insecure, and not just women. I mean, people that look good, you know, people that are physically attractive can still have a bad self-esteem, and a bad self-image. And why? I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I'm just telling it like it is. I mean, there are women who are, just are in very unequal relationships with guys, and there are guys who are also in very unequal relationships with women. I've already talked about that before, because they don't value themselves like their partners do, because there are also very often people who are have that nature to tend to fall in love quite quickly and easily, and then that just develops, and until you are completely, obsessed, even you cannot, you don't see anyone else, but they may not feel the same. They may like you and maybe even love you, but still they always see other people also. You are not their whole world. So that's the problem. That's when these unequal relationships happen, and very often they don't end well. They don't last because one person is more, let's say, simply fixed on the other person. Yes, so there's always that one person in the relationship is more into that the other person than the other person is into them. And yeah, so is that really love? I mean, I don't know really. It's very complicated. The thing is, women are more complicated usually than men. When it comes to this, definitely. With us men, it's usually simple. We meet someone we like. First thing is, of course, you see the face. You like the face. It's beautiful, attractive in some way, I don't know. And then you like the way she speaks, you like what she says, how she talks. And you just, you talk quite a lot with her, and then you just fucking fall in love like crazy. And, the chemistry is there, everything is there. However, she might not feel the same right away. For some women, it takes longer to really fall for you, for a guy. And that is not because they are colder or anything, but they are simply more cautious about giving their heart to someone. It's not just just whatever, giving your heart to someone. But once again, there are women also who have a desperate need to be wanted and loved, and therefore they enter relationships with men who they shouldn't, probably because they give them the attention and the love, but all often on their own terms. It's like, if I'm gonna do this, if we're gonna be together, then there are these conditions. These conditions are that you cannot talk to other men really, and other than people that you work with, There are these really silly things that, and women can do the same thing. Yeah, sure. But yeah, I mean, if one of them has a more desperate need to be loved and wanted, that means that the other one of them is needier than the other. That creates a great imbalance in a relationship. You gotta be very careful of that, people. Don't don't feel like that. I know it's hard to not feel like that, but that means you don't really value yourself enough. If you are so desperate after others loving you and being with you and wanting to be with you and wanting to get serious with you, then you obviously have these issues of low self-esteem. It's because you think only in a committed relationship can you be thrive as a person. That's what they think. Well, it does help, yeah, being in a loving relationship and marriage, of course, but that's another thing. uh, it does help you feel better, definitely. It does help you be a better person, but if that's gonna be the condition for you to be happy and be a better person, then that's not good, obviously. It's not good, because once that relationship goes, there is no, of course, no guarantee that it will last. Even marriages don't last, we know that. um, what happens when it's over? You're gonna feel like shit about yourself again. You think, and that's what very often happens. They blame themselves. They're like, oh, I wasn't good enough for her, for him. Yeah, she left me, he left me because he knew, he found out I'm not good enough, and it really leads to great damage to your own self-esteem, to everything. It leads to depression, even sometimes suicidal thoughts. But it's about, just valuing yourself and being aware of your own good sides, your own assets, your own qualities, and not focus on things that you don't have, that you lack, that you are not so good at, you know. And unfortunately, I did the same. I was very insecure when I was younger, and I was like, yeah, I don't have a job, I don't have a car, and who's gonna want to be serious with me? What woman will? And yeah, it led to that, that I just focused too much on that. And in the end, yeah, just I kind of, when it didn't go so well after a few years, trying, to find love, I withdrew. After a few, experiments, let's say, with that failed, just brief relationships. I was like, nah, this isn't for me. I cannot do. I'm happier just by myself. You know, I'm never gonna make it unless I find some desperate girl that is as desperate as I am. That's a very wrong way to think, of course. What makes somebody desperate? Well, you are only desperate if you feel desperate, and if you, once again, if you think you are less than you are a lesser person than you are. And why do women do get together? Like, let's say, women, desirable women, do get together with losers. Actually, have you noticed that? And why? They are definitely lesser people than better people. But they have confidence. They always are struggling, strutting around with full of confidence, feeling so great about themselves, even if they don't have a reason to, really. But those that, it's like the same thing with the beach. People have these big bellies and all that. Man, boobs. They just feel great. They take their shirts, their tops off, and strut around in the beach. While people have better bodies, they like hide them under clothes, and because they feel they aren't in good enough shape. So yeah, you gotta be comfortable in your own skin, and if you are not, you're never gonna be happy and in love, in a love affair, let's say. That's for sure. Yes, so nothing wrong with wanting to be wanted, but if that's gonna ruin your own self-esteem and make you get desperate and beg for love, then it gets even harder when they see you are desperate. I mean, you try to hit a woman in a bar, and you act like you're desperate. Come on, what do you have to lose? I'm lonely, and you start to talk like that. Please help me out. Of course, nobody is gonna score that way. So yeah, have that in mind. As for women, also, yeah, they often pick the wrong guy because they just want to be wanted, and they don't work. They don't want to really work on themselves. They don't really want to work, and yeah. So you're never gonna find a good guy that way. A good guy will never. Nobody likes desperation. Nobody likes low self-esteem. So yeah, they will just think, oh, she's a broken toy. She's a damaged soul. She needs help. I can't be with her because that will mean I'll have to play her shrink, and yeah. So that was, I think, about that. Just always, once again, value yourself, and if you don't find after a while someone that really wants to be with you, I mean, then don't be with anybody. All right, bye.